Here we go, continuing. Discerptum aliqui a senatu putent. So, aliqui, some people from the Senate, putent, they think that he was discerptum, torn apart, because of his asperious, rather harsh, that's a comparative neuter. Ingenium is the neuter, it's the adjective too, because of his rather harsh ingenium or characteristics. But a tempestus, a storm, a borta, had arisen, and a defectio solis, with a defection of the sun, which means an eclipse. It praebueranted, it offered the appearance, the speciem, of him being consecrated or something like that. Cui, to whom soon Julius Proculus fecunded fidem. He made this trustworthy, that he had been made a god consecrated, because he was affirming that Visum had been seen, Romulus had been seen, I say, by himself, in an augustio forma, in a more august, regal sort of form than fuisset, than he had. And besides, he mandated it that they should accept him pro numenon, as a god. He was called in Calo, in heaven, Quirinus. It was pleasing to the gods that Rome, Poetio is one of these deponents, should be in control of. It usually takes the ablative, sometimes it takes the genitive, and here it's taking a genitive. Rome should gain control over all of the gentiums, of all the races. Okay, so daily dictionary, mos make it potio. To obtain, acquire, get, grasp, attain, seize, capture, control. Verb potio and others like it, frua, fungo, uto, vesco, regularly govern the ablative case. Sometimes potio uses the genitive to get control of affairs, potio rerum. Okay, back to the plot. Successor to Romulus was Numa Pompilius, whom, while he was conducting something or living his life in Cura, which was in the Sabine lands, the Romans, is plural, they pediveranted him. They sought him of their own accord, ultro, because of his inclitiam, which you can spell it with an I or a Y, it means the famousness. We have religion, I think that's a typo, because of the renowned piety or religion of the man, viri. Illy, he, in the sacred rites and ceremonies and all the cults of the immortal gods, he docwited, he taught them. Illy again, he instituted pontifexes and augurs and salios, priests of Mars, and other sacerdotales, other priesthoods he created, and the annum, which is the year, into 12 months, 12 months. He's given the descriptions for which dies is day, fifth declension, fastos and nephastos. So days you can do things and days you can't do things. He and Cilia and Palladium. This is I think there were shields, I believe. Okay, so the Palladium, the Pignoras, which sometimes can be your children, it usually means pledge or tokens of certain secrets of the empire. So then Cilia must be the shields, the Palladium must be these Pignoras, and Genuem Gamenum, the twin culture. Janus is the god, he's got two heads, one looks forwards and one looks back, of peace and war, Pacus and Belli. And in the first virgins of Vestals, Focum, that's the hearth or the sacred fire, he gave for Colendum, which is a gerund, meaning the praising of. So he instituted worship, looks like here. So we've had, where was it up here? We had Mars covered, we had Janus, and now we have the Vestal Virgins. It looks like this sentence is going to go on. Okay. So anyway, we have the flame, vigilarating, the guardian of the empire. I think I must have left it off here somewhere. That's a semicolon in other translations. So, given the praise of the fire of the Vestal Virgins, which is the image of the celestial stars, just as if these is the flame which should be guarding the empire. Anyway, these omnia, all these things, as if by the advice of the goddess Irigia, he did. Quo magus, as we know, quo is ut, when it's got a comparative, so that the barbarians would accept it more. So I don't know who this goddess is, but apparently he thought by using that name, barbarians would accept all these things that he instituted. So I think that's like one big long sentence, is it? Anyway, let's scroll a bit. Deniqui. Finally, or in short, he redegated. Usually means to drive home or drive something like that. He made it so that a ferocious people, that what by force and injury how they had occupied or taken an imperium, they'd taken power or made their empire using force, that they would gubernare it, which means to rule by religion and justice. So this is how strong the things he did brought about these results. Okay, we'll make this a new paragraph. Okay, so Tullius Hostilius is the nominative. He excipit, he received or took up the empire from Pompilium Numa after him, to who, in honour of his virtues, he was given datum, the regnum, the kingdom was given to him by the people of their own accord. Again, ultro means of their own accord. Hic, either him or here, omnem militarum, okay, all military discipline and arts of war he conducted, so this hic would be the pronoun. He founded all military discipline and arts of war, and so itiqui. Mirum in modum, that's a long way of making an adverb, just means marvellously or something. He, having exercised all the youth, the juventa, they're the young soldiers, he orsus to provocare, he dared to provoke the Albanos people, aggravem, and for a long time the principal people, I guess, of that area. He dared to, after having trained all these young men, to challenge them. Sed cum, but when in robor, where we get oak trees, which means strength, when the strength was pari, equal to the datives, to, I don't know, it's just going to be equal without taking anything. Looks like in frequent battles, we'll put them together actually, the robor, the strength was equal, and in frequent barrels, and when utrique, both sides, their strength was comminuating, we have diminished comes from that, was diminished. There was a compendium, it means a shortcut was made, miso bello, so they broke off the wharf and they've come up with a shortcut to the Horatus and the Curatus, who were trigominous, who were triplets each. So here and there, this side and that side, both had triplets. On one side it was these people, on the other side it was them. They were fratribuses, so they were twin brothers. Permission was given for, fate was given permission that it should go to utriusque of these people, to either of these sides, when the triplets were going to have a big brawl. And we'll do a bit more. And sepsen pulchra, two-headed or going both ways, and beautiful contention, so ambiguous and beautiful sort of fight, and in exitu itself, and the outcome itself was mirabilis, be wonderful. Quippy sense, illic, and we'll take that as here in this place, tribus vulneratus, triplets on one side, illic, were wounded, and hic on the other side, two of them were occisus, two were dead. Horatus, who superadded, who still existed, who was alive, having added dolo, having like cunning or trickery to his virtue and valour, as distrahod hostem, so we get with distract probably from that, but he drew out the enemy. He simulated a fugam, a flight, and he took them on singulos. Just as they followed, as they were able to follow, he rose up and he exuperated, he overcome them. So if you look at that again, you got three on one side wounded and two killed. So the one guy was surviving, he took on the other three, by simulating flight, going a bit. He took on the other three as they arrived, because remember they were wounded, so they come little by little. It's also in Livy. Sick. Thus, a decus, an honour, which is otherwise rare. Alias is the female version of it with decus. You should know these are third declension words anyway. Victory was to the side of one hand. It's like a strange way of putting it, but you know what I mean. Which he, Mox, soon photovited, fouled up his decus. He fouled this honour with a parricide. And I guess we're going to cover that now. Flentem, present accusative particle, around himself with the spoils. What did he do? He saw weeping. What have we got? Indeed, she was weeping for us. She was sponsored. She was betrothed to a man, but he was of the enemy. So he saw his sister Flentem weeping when she saw him with the spoils of the betrothed around her, and I guess he got angry because he was the enemy. So he, so immature a love of this maiden, virgin, he made revenge with Pharaoh, with iron, with a sword. So he saw his sister crying because she was betrothed to one of the enemy, and he killed her with a sword. The legs, which are the laws, we have cito, which means to incite, or you can actually cite it. This is nefas, so the laws said that this was a terrible crime to do, but his virtue abstuled him from this parricide, from this murder. So his virtue took him away from this, and this facinus, this crime, was below in glory. However you want to call that in English, but anyway, what he did was wrong, but because of his great virtue, his side won, and he's remembered more for his glory. So the infra meaning is placed below. It's not literally, but you know what I mean. Next, DUI. Neither for a long time did the Albanian people stay in their fides, in their trust. Also, when you win a war, someone coming into your fide usually means coming into your protection, but here it means they didn't stay long in this truce or the agreements. For, in the bellow, in the war, missi in auxilium, so they were the auxiliary, according to the treaty, from the treaty. Looks like in the middle between the two, they expect a vera. They waited out for the fortune or the outcome, waiting for what was happening in the two who were fighting in the middle. So they're stood on the sidelines, basically, waiting to see what was happening. Said Rex Calidus, but the Calid, smart king, when he saw his Circios, his allies, inclining towards the enemy's side, he tolerated the animos. He raised the courage and spirits, as if Ipsi himself had mandated them to remain waiting. This then made spes hope to our men, and metus fear to the hostibuses, to the enemy. And that's it.